We have an important test to make today, friends, because I've gotten a significant amount of questions, Discord notes, whatever have you, around Futaba, and specifically her weapon. Now, I can't give you comparisons of her A0 to A1 because I have her at A1 and I can't reverse that, which would be kind of cool if you could. But I will say that the weapon in either scenario, A0 or A1, is still a question to be answered. And so I have set up a test, the best of my ability, to compare three things for you. One, a base value 4-star weapon before duplicates. Now she's 80-80, I've done all of her skills, all that good stuff, everything's level 10 for her. And this will tell us at the base level, if you just went and spent some coins and got just one copy of her weapon, how well will it perform. So I'm gonna put this on here. The second test, I'm going to cut aside, I'm gonna max dupe her 4-star weapon. I've not run this test because, as you know, I can't reverse it easily. And so I'm going to go between takes, show you. And then I'm gonna do her 5-star at base value because honestly, if you're at the point that you're maxing her A5, you're not watching this video outside of just pure curiosity. So what I've done is I've picked a mission that I think is the most fair way for me to control this. So the first thing I need to tell you, and this is important, is this only matters for scores. If you just want to know if her weapon is better or worse for any other mode in this game, it does not matter. You will never find yourself in a situation where you sit back and say, I would have won that fight if I got Futaba's 5-star weapon. You should never be in the situation where you say, I would have won that fight if I had Futaba. The rest of the modes don't matter. This is 100% for scoring only, okay? And so I'm picking this fight here because I can use a Ryuji team and fully control the rotation so that I'm isolating the damage almost exclusively to one character. Now, there are a couple of times I need to use powers on Wonder, and of course, you know, with Summer Matoha, she does a little bit of damage, but it's very minor numbers. The bulk of the damage is going to come from Ryuji, and I can run the same rotation every single time without fail. I can also control crits with Ryuji, so you can see the impact that crit multipliers make. Now, in most of my DPS builds, I'm pushing crit and my personas to the point that I crit incredibly reliably. If you're not critting reliably, crit is more important than crit multiplier. You got to hit the crit to get really good multipliers. Also, because this is a skill mode, you know, you don't see the crits, it just adds into your score, so keep that in mind. But all the same, at the end, we're looking at scores. And the scores are going to be what matters. And sorry, I am getting better, but I am still a little bit sick. And so, again, as always, forgive the voice. Hopefully in a few days, I'll sound as magical and delicious as I always have. So let's get into this. This is the first test. I will show the full rotation on the first test. I'll probably do some cuts and edits for the other ones. This is not a boss guide. I mean, you could use this rotation, you'll get a decent score, but there's probably better rotations out there. And this is even before I test it with Mesa, so just keep in mind he may potentially perform better, depends on where your Ryuji is at. In pulling my Futaba, if you saw my pulls, actually got 2 copies of Ryuji, which I was not upset about. And because of that, mine is now A4. And I'm not gonna be mad about an A4 Ryuji ever. So, and I haven't even I don't have his 5-star weapon, and I don't have his all of his skills fully leveled up. So keep in mind that my Ryuji isn't even optimal in this situation. I could actually pump out quite a bit more score with him, and I may go buy his 5-star weapon just for that reason alone, because I think it would be kind of fun. You gotta understand, I love Ryuji. I absolutely want to get him to A6 at some point, and hopefully the game keeps blessing me with him like it did with Han, because I want to get him there. So right now I'm using a really basic rotation for Ryuji. This is, you know, just to try to maximize his damage potential with the team that I have. Again, it may not be perfect or anything like that, but it should be pretty representative, and it's something you can replicate, you know, pretty easily across fights. There's nothing really that variable about this rotation, which is why I want to use it, because it gives me a good test bed to throw him under. I love the big hits with Ryuji. People sleep on him. They do, but from a physical standpoint, he is absolutely great. Also, you may be looking at Futaba's rotation I'm doing now and asking yourself, why am I not doing the 1-3-1-3-1 rotation, which I haven't even written her guide yet, but you've probably seen Najox's stuff, so, you know, it's not like there's not other places you're looking besides me. And it's because Ryuji himself doesn't operate on a 3rd round damage boost. So the reason 1-3 works on other characters is because you try to align your buff and debuff windows against that specific timing. And here Ryuji is like a every other turn, so he's on even turns, and I need to line up her big move, her skill 3, for the very last move or round. And if I do this any other way, then I won't get that, and I'll be using that skill when he's not launching damage, which obviously would be a problem. And that's why in this situation you actually use skill 2, because that'll allow me to line up better. And then of course with, you know, these two over here, it's your pretty standard 2-3 kind of a thing. Oops, and I need to do Dionysus. Almost forgot, almost messed up this entire run, would have had to go back to beginning. And then this one would need to be this guy. I do love how the score just skyrockets at the end when you get to your last round. It's pretty fun, in my opinion. Boom, big ol' hits. Big ol' hits. Now, something else with damage, you may or may not know this, but with the damage formula, there is some variability. So the example I like to use is if your skill could hit for 100, it's not going to hit for 100 every time. Sometimes it's going to hit for 95, sometimes it's going to hit for 105, and so you can't perfectly replicate scores because of that window of variability. So even if you took my exact same team, you took my account and you did the exact same thing I'm doing now, you might be plus or minus a couple points. It's not going to be something insane. Like, you're not going to have variability of 1,000,000 if you use the exact identical things that I'm doing, but you are going to, you know, be a few points off. So if I ran this test 47 times in a row, I'm going to get a window, a little bit of a range of scores, if you will. Okay, so now final turn. This is why I need to line everything up so I can do this at the end. And then after Leo goes, we're going to do the final burst for Ryuji. So he does need to do this before Wonder, because once he gets to his turn, he automatically goes. So you always have to be careful with that. I've messed that up 1,000 times because I forget that. Because you're used to like running your buffs and then clicking the button, but you don't click the button with Ryuji. Let's get this last one in here. Well, bam! 500,000. Heck yeah. Alright, so we got... Mark this down on my... I have a spreadsheet as always. 80, 80, 222. Okay. So you're probably going to get in a window where this could go slightly higher, just depending on how everything lines up. You might get to like, I don't know, 8.2, something like that. So let me go max out this weapon. And when that's done, I'm going to run that same fight again. I don't know that you want to sit here all day and watch me do the same thing 3 times in a row. So I'll just cut to the end of it and I'll show you what that score is. So I'll be right back. All right, so I'm coming back because we're getting ready to jump into the last, you know, DPS turn, whatever have you. And so I just want to make sure that I show you how cool the damage is. I just like big numbers, and seeing Ryuji do big numbers is always going to be a fun thing for me. So I get to share that fun with you. And so again, everything's been the same rotation. Like I said, I don't want to waste your time and show you the same thing 3 times in a row. But this way you can at least see the scores. So we are now at this part of the rotation. I've done this so many times that I've got this whole thing memorized. And again, this is with the fully maxed out 4-star, of course. And we'll toss this in and we're going to see what kind of number he does this time. God, 500,000. Oh, it's beautiful. And look at how much bigger that score is already. 8.55 on a maxed 4-star. So we just increased our score by about 500,000. That's not too shabby. I mean, we went from, 8.08 to 855. I like that. And so now I'm going to switch to the 5-star. Same thing. I'll just cut back in for the final turn. Same rotations. Nothing else is changing. And I will be right back for the final. How much more can you do with the 5-star version? And once more, we are back in our final setup round. Getting ready to press the good old skill 3. And then, we'll come into the final set of turns here and see what all happens with the score. Alright, so we need skill 3. We need skill 3. We need, you guessed it, skill 3. And now we pop a highlight. 126. And you will go into our final rebellion, not skill 3, and then skill 3 will launch. Do something big, buddy. 612, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So this one, 8950, 960. 8950, 960. So what's interesting about this, no, I had to go type it down, is if you go to the start of the video, when I first come in, I was actually at 9.1, same team, same rotations, 5-star weapon. And so I've done slightly higher, but again, that goes to speak to the damage range that you can get, just by playing naturally. And so a lot of people that really push scores will sit there and like really farm out those last, 100,000, 200,000 points. I don't care enough about it to do that. But if we go back over the scores that we had 8.08 million on the 4-star. We had 8.55 million on the 4-star fully maxed out. And on the 5-star, we're at 8.95 up to about 9 million. And so what this is telling me is between the 3 branches, you had a roughly 400 to 500,000 score difference in this controlled environment. Now, I know what you're going to say, but what if I use this rotation? What if I use this character? What if my crit isn't as much as yours? What if it wasn't Ryuji where you can control your crits to actually control the damage? What if it was a Tuesday and a dog crossed the road and then you fell and you farted on the way down? Like, there's a lot of variability when it comes to this. Your card's going to be different than mine. There's 1,000 things that can happen. Don't miss the forest through the trees, okay? What this is showing you is when you're in that situation that you can reliably crit, which if I say reliably, I would say 70% of the time, you are going to do very well to boost your crit damage. It is a very strong multiplier on your team. And keep in mind, that's not the only thing the weapon does. It also gives you up to 20% extra attack for hitting weaknesses and stuff like that. So if you actually go back to the 5-star, we talk about the crit piece, but it is actually only part of what's good about it. So we'll jump here and let's see. So yeah, when dealing enemy weakness damage, increase the ally's attack 10% for 2 turns. Or so it's 10%, not 20, sorry. But either way, you also get that attack boost. So it is an improvement. Do I think you need to chase it? Again, if you're not chasing scores, no. But you also don't need Futaba if you're not chasing scores. If you are chasing scores, absolutely, you need to chase this weapon. So that's my take on it, and hopefully showing you the numbers and showing you a controlled testing environment has helped you to understand just how different this can be. And until our next video or live stream, my friends, take care of yourselves.